So this evening is an event called Kulturnatten in Copenhagen, and there's a subway, but I'm probably not going to catch it. Oh well, the next one's coming in like a minute, so it doesn't really matter too much. But this event is basically just a bunch of attractions and buildings in the city open their doors for one price. It was 95 kroner, which is about like 13 euro, maybe close to 15 US dollars. So it's not too bad, and that also includes free transportation all night, which is great because metro tickets are usually about $3.50 for an hour's validity. So this actually is just going to pay for itself in transportation, but I'm going to meet a classmate of mine at a metro stop in the city center, and the sun is starting to go down. It's going to be totally dark here pretty soon, but I will take some footage once we see some cool stuff. We're actually going to the Parliament first, so that might be kind of fun. I don't know exactly what events are going on there, but that's where she wants to meet, and she's kind of a government nerd, and so am I, so we're going to go see what we find. Just got into the entrance to the Parliament after a very long line, and my friend is using the restroom, so I'm watching his belongings and we're going to go up. Normally I don't do things like this because it is full dark outside, but I decided that since Copenhagen is relatively flat and I'm with a friend who was very nice and met me at the metro station, that I would give it a try. And this is in a very, very beautiful building, and you can actually get a free ticket to listen to a Parliament session if you want to, which I have not done because I didn't know it existed until just now, but I might actually do that at some point. But I will take some video if there's anything fun to see, which I'm hoping there will be. Hopefully the Parliament chambers will at least be sort of interesting, but I guess we'll have to see how we go. So we have come up in the Parliament building to the second floor, and it's basically just an exhibition of the prime ministers, of which that is the current one over there. I'm pretty sure that's her anyway. And then just going around and multiple dudes. And the architecture in here, as in most Capitol buildings, is absolutely gorgeous. They have just these columns that aren't really anything to write home about, but then there's a little granulated texture down here, and that looks to be hand painted. Like, I don't know how they would have done it via machine, so it's kind of incredible just architecturally. And then they have that giant massive column over there and just the chandeliers and whatnot, but I suppose if it's a Parliament building, it's got to look ornate. Then there's some statue dudes over there as well, so good for them. Came into one of the discussion rooms at the Danish Parliament, and it's actually quite beautiful and ornate. I like the wall color. That's interesting. But I'm sorry, I'm not trying to run into you. But yeah, I would take a longer video, but I don't want to be holding up the line or anything like that. So yeah, just beautiful places to have debates. This is the Coronation Charter of 1483, it looks like, with all the seals and beautiful calligraphy. There is a note there that says that this version is a copy, which makes sense. Just another example of the ornate acts that they drew up. This was the King's Act, and I believe the 1600s. And the king wrote it and asked his secretary to draw it up, and it was not published until about 40 years after that happened. So, yay for keeping the population in ignorance. Coming to the actual Parliament chamber of the Danish Parliament, and it's fairly nice, I guess. There's some weird artwork, but yeah, and then they have their little technology on how to I guess if they're sitting here, they can just vote yay or nay as to a thing, but yeah, kind of interesting and architecturally ornate, as most are. Okay, we're now on the top floor of the Parliament building. We've been here for like an hour and a half. It's been really good. It's been very interesting, but this is a library reading room, and there's an iMac, I think, over there. But yeah, it's not super ornate, but it's very, very nice. I mean, there's a little globe over there and just desks and very many older texts and some older magazines over on that wall. And I guess Danish dudes along the ceiling. I'm not quite positive who they all are, but they are definitely Danish dudes. So it's pretty cool stuff. Alright, so I am back at my home station for the metro. It's only about 9:30 at night. I met my friend from school at about 6, and we went to the Danish Parliament and took kind of a self-guided tour around there. It wasn't really... I mean, it was interesting, but I won't say it was exciting. There is a ton of shit going on just as a thing, just in the city itself for Culture Night. But, oh lord, I don't know if this is going to be possible. I can't really see a damn thing. Actually, the camera is showing things a little bit better lit than my eyes are, so maybe I'll just stare at the camera. I'm sorry, you're just going to see a lot of footage of the sidewalk. But yeah, while we were in the Parliament building, it was nice, and there was access to everything, and I managed to do the stairs, and it wasn't like a huge deal. It would have been nice if they had had the elevators open, but they did not, so whatever. But when we walked out of the Parliament House, it was completely dark, and they have some dark concrete stairs, and there was just no lighting. And I understand that it's a palace, or it's attached to one of the royal palaces anyway, and it's a government building, and blah blah blah, but it just kind of wasn't really that accessible. And I realized that since this Culture Night is multiple different attractions all over the city, a lot of which have to do with drinking or buying food or just being with a lot of people, I just kind of figured that it wasn't the smartest move to be out, because I can navigate in the dark, but it's very, very difficult, just because with my form of vision disability, I don't have any depth perception. So if there are, say, cobblestone streets, which there were outside of the Parliament, and I trip a lot, and if there are stairs that aren't well lit or whatever, and I mean, I turned on my phone flashlight and it wasn't too big a deal, but it just, if I'm going all over between 9 and like 4 a.m., which is when this thing ends, it was just going to be multiple instances of needing to stop the group and have them basically guide me around. And I kind of have to accept that I'm blind and I can't really do stuff at night as much as I'd like to. I mean, if I need to walk somewhere, I can't really do it easily after dark. I can in the daylight just because there's a bit more contrast and it's easier to see, but when the ground just builds in with the dark, or blends in with the darkness, it's kind of impossible. And I don't know, being blind, it kind of sucks sometimes, and that's just how it is. And I would have loved to go out with the rest of my classmates and met up with them and seen more things around the city. I don't feel that I wasted the money on the pass, just because I did get to meet a friend and to go tour the Parliament building, which is probably as expensive as the pass itself, to be honest with you. They do offer tours, but it's quite pricey, as is everything in Copenhagen. So yeah, while I would have liked to see more, I'm not really that disappointed that I didn't. That, and it was just my diabetes was kind of annoying, and all the walking probably wasn't going to be a good idea for me. So I just called it quits and came home. And I messaged everybody and I'm like, guys, I'm really sorry, but I just can't do it. And they were going to go probably out and get some drinks. Well, I don't know that for sure, but I'm imagining they probably were going to stop somewhere and get something. And I don't want to be holding people back. I don't want to be a burden. And I know that they don't think of me that way, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, I have a disability that is sort of a burden at times. And it sucks, but that's just how it goes. So, yeah. This is my building, so I am home now. Made it without dying, so that's a good thing. That's just the common room in there. It's not somebody's apartment, don't worry. There's just like one table and a vacuum. That's literally it. It's kind of stupid, to be honest with you. But, yeah. Like, the common rooms for most dorms have couches and things. That's the entry door over there, and then it's just empty space, and then there's a table, some chairs in the corner, and vacuums. That's the entire common room. But yeah, so that was my night. It was good, and I'm very glad that I went. But I do really need to start accepting the limits of my disability and just understanding that going out at night on a walking thing and trying to make do like I can is just not going to happen anymore, and that's just the long and short of it. But it was really nice, and I highly recommend Culture Night if you have the opportunity to come to Copenhagen and do it. It was very fun, and I would say go if you can.